What's up, guys? We're live.
What's up, guys? Thursday afternoon, Joey and Jason live training. Joey, how you doing, buddy?
Doing good, but I don't think I'm doing as good as you are right now.
Yeah, we're doing pretty great. Donna and I went for a baby moon out here in Scottsdale, Arizona. We're in sunny Arizona. It's beautiful out. It's probably 75 degrees and breezy. And so definitely wanted to still make this call because it's my favorite hour of the week, but very glad to be doing it from here.
Yeah, man, perfect. Perfect opportunity to talk about like the mindset and momentum of an entrepreneur. Because like we were saying before the call, this is like exactly what we preach: is the freedom to be able to do things like that and not worry about, oh my God, is my gym gonna burn down or whatever it may be. Pumped for you. And I think we have a good one today because I could tell usually when people are hyped about it, when in the comment section, that they're like, "Oh man, let's do this." And this is something that's been on my mind a lot lately too. So I'm like, it's the perfect time to like talk about the ebbs and flows of being an entrepreneur, and that it's okay to like not be in momentum 24/7.
Yeah, and I think both of us, we've talked about that a lot. And like, this is one of those times, and I say it a lot, but it's one of those times where I really like the dynamic you and I have, because we both get things done. We both go out and create, but like we go about it with different methods. So I'm excited to hear what you think about some of these thoughts we're going to have today, and like the way that we balance it out. Like, people on the call are going to identify a little bit more with you or a little bit more with me or some third option. And so this is a really, really great thing. I think, especially in groups like ours, where, you know, it's our job and it's what we want to do to promote people that are in momentum. So we talk about wins, we talk about big things, but every single person, I'm on the calls, every single one of us goes through these kind of natural cycles, particularly entrepreneurs. You know, we're generally not the most, stable individual. We're usually peaks and valleys, right? And so how do you take advantage of when you're in momentum, and how do you, set a floor for when you're not in momentum and not feeling like, you could take on the world? And so maybe kick us off with just some thoughts on like your personal view on how to take advantage when you're in momentum, and what you do to stop yourself from falling through the floor.
Well, to start, I mean, it took me a while to be okay with the fact that I'm not going to be fucking David Goggins every single day, waking up with this just want to like crush life. It took me a while to be okay with that, because when I didn't feel like that, I always felt like, man, maybe I don't have what it takes to be able to do X, Y, and Z. And the thing is, like, I don't think anybody is in momentum, 24/7, unless that's all they're showing you. You know what I mean? And then especially with social media, it's really hard to know like the truth from like what they're putting on, what they're presenting. So if you guys think that about me or Jason, just know that no, we're not in momentum 24/7 either. But we do probably get the bulk of our progress forward during time periods where we're extremely motivated and have a very clear vision. Clarity of vision is part of being in momentum, things like that. But I think with me, it started with knowing like, okay, I'm not always going to be, fucking ready to rock and roll the second I wake up and just get out of my way. I'm building a business, it's okay to feel like that. And then those days, I'd spend a lot more time on the other areas of my life that don't require the entrepreneurial momentum, kids, wife, projects, hobbies, everything that's going to help bring me in balance.
Yeah, and I'm very much aligned with that. Like, even honestly, listening to you talk, that sounded a lot more close to the way I feel about it. And that is like, for me as a younger man, I wouldn't even recognize those things. And as I've gotten older and have seen a little more success, like for me, what I've noticed is when I start to feel that momentum come, I try to get as much behind it as I possibly can. And I try to benefit from that flywheel effect of just momentum pulling me forward even after we stop. And then doing things, there's little things that you can do when you're in those valleys that I think can help to kind of spark getting back into momentum again, right? So we try to limit the amount of time that we're not in momentum and try to make sure we maintain some baseline when we're not, right? And so those things, to me, like, it's literally as simple as, I haven't been doing this as much lately because I've actually been in more momentum, but I would make sure I wake up and I do the dishes. And by doing the dishes, it just is like getting me moving. It's something that I'm doing. And then by that time, I'm ready to go set my calendar. And then by that time, now I'm excited about the things that are coming from the day. And I know you're a list guy, just like me. We're maybe a little different about the way we schedule out our days, but that's been huge to kind of get me back into momentum quickly. So is there any like little tactics that you do as far as like on a day-to-day basis that like get you to like limit that resistance to momentum?
Yeah, so I would say in general, I'm in momentum probably more than the average person because I'm just very passionate. I'm lucky and fortunate enough to be like doing something that I love. So that like already keeps me in momentum a lot more than like another person who like maybe got their degree and is working, but they're not maybe doing what they love. I'm sure for them it's a lot harder to like wake up and want to kick ass.
Yeah.
So I already have that as an advantage. But you know, when I feel myself like if I look at my list for the day, because I like my list. If I look at it and I'm like, dude, I don't feel like doing this shit. That's when I know I'm not in momentum, right? And so I have to make a choice. Either I can, number one, do something to snap out of it, which for me it is usually like I call it like an eat the frog thing, right? So it's something that I do not want to do, or that, and it doesn't have to be something that's due that day. It could be like Katie wants me to, call this place who's asking us about this warranty or whatever. And I just don't want to do it. So I'll just do that and get it out of the way and be like, okay, I got this thing because it's been lingering, right? It's been in the back of my mind. Like, oh, I got to do this thing. It was told, there's a book about it. There's a book about that specific thing. Like just, what is it called?
Eat the Frog is a book.
That's a book. That's a book. Yeah. But there's a book about doing a whole day of only catching up on everything that that's been in the back of your mind, right? So, anyways, if I find it, I'll drop it in the comments because it's useful. I read it and then I forgot about it. But I do that, or I will just muscle my way through it. More times than not, often, guys, I will just move it to a different day because I've found that even performing tasks when I don't want to do them, I inherently will do them worse. Either I'm rushed to get through them, or I don't have as much attention to detail, or like you can tell like when you're going above and beyond. And I like to go above and beyond with anything that I do, but I'm not going to do that if I just really don't feel like doing it. So to me, there's nothing wrong unless it's something that is. Without getting too long-winded, you guys know I use like this priority chart, right? So if it's urgent and it's high priority, then I have to do it right away. But if it's not that, I'll totally push it to another day or delegate it if I can. So then it gets its fair, its fair effort or whatever you want to call it. And then that day when I don't have those, when I moved it, dude, I'm like I said, I'm gonna do things like a couple of weeks ago. I had a list of stuff that I was supposed to do, and none of it was urgent and none of it was important. And I was just like, I spent the whole day with the kids. I just said, I'll do this tomorrow. No, it wasn't like customer facing. So nobody was going to be waiting on me for anything. It was just regular stuff I had to do. And I just played with the kids all day. And it refreshed me so much that literally the next day, those same tasks, I wanted to get them done. Right.
Yeah.
And so it wasn't the tasks. It's just the mindset that I was in for whatever reason at that day. And, I'm not a psychologist, but, there's probably reasons why, you feel a certain way certain days.
Well, and one thing that's interesting is you're talking about it. I want to do it. I have to do it. Is it urgent? Let's talk about what it is. When we first started this company, and even just in your gym and in my gym and our businesses, like, I put a lot of time into what it is. If it is something that I don't get energy from or that I don't want to do, I do the absolute best I can to eliminate that from my life, whether it's out of my ownership, off my plate, off my list, whatever that is. Like if it is cleaning the toilets at my gym, like it's not going to get done by me. You know what I mean? And so that's one of the things is I want to do it more. You know what I mean? And so because of that, like I remember talking about it with you very clearly, like, what do you love to do, Joey? And Jason, what do you love to do? And like, what needs to be done? And let's divide these things up when it was just you and I. Let's divide these things up to try and maximize the it's that you want to do and get excited about. Like, it's never hard for me to get on a phone call with a coach with a client. that gives me energy. It's something like these things. There's never a time where I'm like, oh gosh, I gotta get on and talk to Joey about, whatever the live training is for that week. Look, no, that's like, I've been thinking about this all day. I've been thinking about things we're going to think about, metaphors, all that stuff. And that's because I try to fill my life with tasks and its that give me energy, or at least I enjoy doing. Right. And I feel like you've done the same. Does that mean that 100% of what we do isn't that? No, but even if you look back in high school, if I was writing an English report in high school, I would think about it, I'd think about it, I'd think about it, and then finally at the last second, I would do it because it had to get done, right? And I think a lot of people probably watching this are that way. That's kind of an entrepreneurial style. But I think, maybe something to think about is, are the its that you're having to do, are they the right things? Like, are you picking the right its? And if you're not, like, even on these calls, like, we're really focused, or at least I'm really focused on trying to help set people up to like find what the its are that they should be doing. You know what I mean?
Dude, 100%. And that's one of the most under like valued nuggets that you'll get from working with guys like us is, I'm telling you, like, if you wake up and the majority of the shit you have to do that day you don't want to do, you probably have the wrong its, right? And the energy that you're going to get from delegating those things, right? And yes, it's going to cost you money. People aren't going to work for free, but I'm telling you, you have to, take advice from the people before you, is like the energy that you're going to get from not having to do those, and then what you're going to do with that energy as a result is going to the ROI you're going to get on that is so much more than had you had just done the task yourself. Like, yes, you could literally do you could go cut the grass at your gym, right? You should probably pay somebody to do that because, is it an expense? Yes, but you hate doing it, right? And so you're not energized, and it's going to affect other areas of your business because it's not an it that energizes you, right? So,
I agree.
In fact, we don't say that directly, but that's a big part of in our course in phase 3 is knowing the entrepreneur and helping getting you out of doing some of the things that you don't naturally enjoy by delegating certain things. Like, we're just banking on the fact that you don't love administrative work, right? So you're hiring an admin, like that's one of the first things you're going to do, right? And I bet you for 95% of the people we work with, that's the truth.
Yeah, and what I would add is, this isn't like a shit rolls downhill type of situation. You really are in a situation where there is somebody out there who loves operational organization and being an ops manager. Like, Katie loves operations. Donna loves social media. You love content creation and building courses, and I love coaching. And so it's one of those things where this is not a zero-sum game. This is a situation where you can find organizational harmony just by identifying the right people who are, I literally, 100% of interviews that I've had, I did some ambassador calls this week, and 100% of them I said, what gives you energy? What are the things you enjoy doing? Because I'm not interested. This isn't, I'm not a trash collection agency where it's like, I just need bodies on a truck. Like, I want people who will love their job, whether it's genuinely cleaning and organizing the gym, or whether it's creating new ad content and selling or something like that. And so that's why we spend so much time in phase 3. That's why we talk about it so much. That's why it's iterative through even our practice of hiring people, is like, when you identify the right candidate, that person should want to do all of the its that you're about to give them. Does that make sense? Or most.
Yeah, 100%.
But if you're eating frogs, like, yes, eat the frog, do the dishes, do the thing that you maybe are a little bit dreading. But if your whole day is full of eating frogs, like, you're in the wrong business. You know what I mean? Like, you're probably not, in the role that you should be in. And if your team's whole day is eating frogs, then you're probably not in a situation with operational harmony. Does that make sense?
Yeah, man. 100%. I was just watching a podcast with Elon Musk in SpaceX. They were doing it on SpaceX. And a guy grabbed the microphone and he's like, hey, Elon, like, what would you tell an aspiring entrepreneur that just needs like motivation? You know what I mean? And he's like,
quit.
If you need motivation, you shouldn't be an entrepreneur. Right. Yeah. And I kind of feel the same way. Is like, look, if you're not motivated to pursue your dreams, like you're in the wrong field. Right. And so like sometimes it's frustrating. Like, and I'm not saying like you can never get unmotivated, but you should always have that flame in you. Right. And sometimes it burns brighter and sometimes it's very dim. It's almost not there, but it should never go out, right? And so like Jason and I notice sometimes with people that maybe aren't successful with our program, or tried it and didn't get started or whatever, their flame is so low that it's like, look guys, if you're unwilling to do the things that you need to do as an entrepreneur to be successful, like it doesn't matter what I say, what anybody says, it doesn't matter, and I'd argue that anybody watching this is probably not in that category, but there's absolutely people that we've worked with, because you got to remember how many gym owners that we talk to on a daily basis, where you're just like, hey man, this dude is literally just looking for a magic pill. He is not motivated to like do anything at all with his business or take any kind of action. And he just wants, like, he's going to bounce around from shiny object to shiny object until he finds somebody that's going to tell him, I got a magic pill for you. Right. And unfortunately, like, we're not going to tell you that because it doesn't exist. Right. And anything that's worth anything successful that's worth having, it takes work to get there. And we're banking on the fact that we are becoming the path of least resistance by having all of these best practices to fast track you the right way, right? But even with that being said, there's no magic pill. So you need to be motivated to want to do the things required to fix your business. Go ahead.
No, I apologize. Go ahead. I thought you were done.
I think I made a video yesterday. What was I talking about? Oh, I was relating it to working out, to fitness, right? And you guys know this because a lot of you spend a lot of time and energy on working out and fitness. And like, imagine if somebody comes into your gym and they're like, hey, you look really fucking shredded. Like, I got a vacation I want to take in 3 weeks. So like, what's the plan? And you're like, it took me 10 years. Do you know what I mean? And they're like, well, I'm sorry. That's just not what I'm looking for. Right. And so you guys know, like, it doesn't matter where they go. It doesn't matter where they go. It doesn't matter if it's not your gym or whatever. Like, nobody is going to be able to deliver what they're looking for. Right. Well, it works the same way in the business world. Is like anything to get to that physique, that stage ready physique, like, it's going to take years. Right. And so as the entrepreneur, you need to realize that and try to keep yourself in momentum as long as you can during that ride, or get the fuck out, because you're just going to dig yourself into a big hole that you can't get out of. Right. And so I just wanted to say that because I feel like, some business owners, especially after 2020 and how rough that was, like, I have sympathy for him, but not empathy, because at the end of the day, like, you're free to go and do whatever you want to do. Right. And so, yeah.
So one comment and then a question, but the comment is, you're talking about evaluating, you're talking about people that are looking for a magic pill, people that are jumping from shiny object to shiny object. And honestly, I bet you both of us can think back to times where some version of that pops into your head. But I think the thing that you didn't mention that I think is really important if you want to honestly be a good entrepreneur, or just be a successful human being in your career, is just be fucking honest with yourself. Like, take ownership of what's happening in your business. And if you feel like you're doing a lot of pointing at anything other than yourself, you're 100% of the time going to be almost 100% of the time wrong. Like, of course, there's going to be times that people screw something up, or there's going to be times where somebody drops the ball. There's going to be some times where the right person or the right program isn't in place, and there's reasons for that. But the number one thing that you have to do, and something that you inspire me with all the time, and I thought I had this, but is taking ownership and looking honestly at what's happening and realizing everything that happens within your organization is ultimately your fault one way or another. And if you can look honestly at your own faults, like, if you don't need to be right, or you don't need to win, all of a sudden you find that you can win more easily, because you just will do the thing that will be the right answer instead of doing the thing that you think is right. And then my question to you was, because we're talking about motivations, Joey, what's your motivation? Are you money driven? Are you teamwork driven? Are you success driven? Are you driven by, like, what motivates you, to continue? Because a lot of people, I think, struggle to get past, like, making the rent. So, like, what motivates you to keep moving forward?
Honestly, for me, it's just contribution and wanting to do something significant with my life, and so am I motivated by money? Only as a means to be able to do that other thing. Because I know if I want to make a big enough impact on this world, I need resources. I can't do it without it, right? And so I need to acquire capital so I can do the things that I want. And that's what motivates me, right? And so everybody, and you could do that from a community standpoint, right? And that's what owning a gym is. Like, if you want to give back, if you want to contribute, if you want to do something bigger than yourself, and we really do this at the gym level between all the charity events that we donate thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars every year to charities, because all of our events are centered around them, right? We give out prizes in exchange for donations, which end up going there, and we give food and coats and toys and everything, a massive contribution to our local community. What personally motivates me is just doing that at a larger scale, right? I want to be able to do that more, because at the end of the day, like, I don't want to die with all my capital. What the fuck is the point of it? Like, I want to just, at least if I'm just a little blink in history where I was able to help like this, whatever, and to me, because I had so many advantages that other people didn't have. You know what I mean? Like, I was born a freaking white dude in America. Like, that's probably the luckiest you can get, especially once you've traveled the world and you see like the cards that other people are dealt. I'm like, shit, man, I have fucking no excuses, none at all. You know what I mean? Oh, I didn't get this growing up. Poor you. You know what I mean? Like, and so to me, I always think about that. And I always think about, the fact that I was dealt these amazing cards, and then I have to do something with them and not take them for granted, and the fact that like I want to be able to teach that to my kids. And if I don't practice what I preach, that, to me, that's the worst. Like, that's the most unauthentic you can possibly be. And there's no point in going through life not being authentic, because you're missing the whole point. Even if you're an asshole or you're whatever, just be authentic. Just be who you are. You know what I mean? And so I'm not motivated by money in the fact of like, man, I can't wait to accumulate. I want to see my bank account stack. Like, dude, no, man. Like, I need capital to be able to do other things so I can reach more people. And I know that if the gyms are following like some of the mindsets I have, like, there's going to be 100 gyms giving to charities. Do you know what I mean? If you're following how it works, there's going to be so many communities that are impacted, and that's something that I thought was lacking in a lot of other programs. There was no mention of that at all. There was nothing about the direct impact that you have on your community, or how to get people involved, or how to give back, or how to do all of these things. So that's the thing that really motivates me. And then the fact, and we talked about this before the call, is having the balance to understand that the most important resource is time, and it's not infinite, it's finite. You know what I mean? So like, you can't get it back. And so if you go through your entrepreneurial journey, especially like if you're in your 20s, 30s, into your 40s, and you're just grinding and grinding and grinding and grinding, no matter how hard you work, you can never get that time back, right? And so, if you find yourself every single day, not having enough time, you are probably not doing the right things, right? And so you need to be able to like have your vacations like you are right now during your journey of being an entrepreneur and building your business, because there is no guarantee that you're going to get that back, or raise your kids, or set aside that time. So I know that's kind of a long-winded answer, but if you want, you can even ask me farther down, like what that looks like on a daily basis, because that's kind of a macro like look at like what, from life, bird's eye view, but then what does that look like every day? But what about you, man? Like, what motivates you? Like, why did you become an entrepreneur? Obviously you're a successful entrepreneur, and you got your shit together, but what makes it tick, man? Like, what makes you want to get up and do stuff?
Cash money, baby. No, I'm just kidding. No, it's very similar. Yeah, just It's just fucking paper. No, honestly, it's very similar. For me, I know we're both Army veterans. For me, it was team sports, then it was the Army. And in the Army, I found, not always, but in one of my units, I found this like clockwork type team where everybody was doing their job at an incredibly high level, where I knew I could count on that team. And that camaraderie that I got from that, I've literally been chasing that dragon for the last 15 years, trying to find that. And Fitbiz, to be my gym, very, very much my gym has had that. But I think Fitbiz is probably the best example of that, where it's like I want to feel like I'm back to back fighting my way out of a corner with my team, and that's fun for me. That's the best I've ever felt, is going through difficult times with people that are willing to work back to back with me and really go hard. And so to me, that's number one. Is that's the thing I'm always seeking. Like, I'm not interested. The reason this vacation is great is because of how hard we go the rest of the time. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not interested in sitting in Arizona every day. I'm not interested in golfing every day or sitting by the pool every day, because I want to do interesting shit with cool fucking people and make it better every fucking time. Don't move apartments with me, because all I'm going to be doing is gamifying how I can take the steps a little faster and make it a little better. And if you just stand there, I'll throw it to you. Like, I want to be in teamwork at all times. Joey's got to beat me off with a stick. I'm like, bro, let's get on the phone. Let's talk for 2 hours. Like I want to collaborate. I want to work with other people. And then on a more personal level, I do a lot of things, a lot of thought about this, and I have done a lot of work about like, what is the reason why I want to influence people. And I think it's, I enjoy being an evangelist for the things that I love and the things that I believe in. And so when I believe this is the best way to run a gym, or when I believe this is the best way to set up your lifestyle, or when I believe this is the best way to do a sale or onboard something, it's really important to me that I share that with you, because you can have that now. Like, oh, wow, I just got this Apple Watch and it's so great. Now you should get this Apple Watch. Like, so for me, I do enjoy being influential on people. And that's why I like coaching at the ground level like this, whereas like what you're describing is much more about, you know, resources and moving things around to make a greater impact. And that I think is very in tune with what we've chosen to do with respective our areas of the business. Yeah.
Well, because we understand this stuff too. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so that it makes sense. But from a daily, like, so when I think about my mindset and my momentum, you know, on a daily basis, I will typically limit my working blocks to time frames that I know I'm going to have the most juice, like the most momentum. Do you know what I mean? And so an old thought of mine was like, hey man, if I'm in momentum or if I'm ready to go, like, let's work 12-hour days. Let's fucking crush it. Elon Musk says that. The guy's a freak of nature. Like I think in listening to enough people that know this stuff well, I think you have like a really good like 6 hours of like prime time juice where you can just hammer it, you know. And then after that, I think you will naturally start to decline. Your even if your effort is as high, like you just cognitively don't have that much. So for me, I try to get up and get all of my important stuff done in the first 6 hours of the day, because that's when my momentum is the highest, right? And if at 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 p.m., whenever it may be. Now, this is your 6 hours can be, it doesn't matter. Mine's just in the morning. Yours can be whenever. In fact, when I was working for the gym on a day-to-day basis, it wasn't the morning. It was like 1 to like 6, 7, which is perfect because that's when I had all my sales. But like, that's when I was energized, because guess what? I would get in at noon after like doing the kids and all that stuff, and I'd work out first thing, you know, and that really sparked it. And then I'd feel great, you know, and then I'd have all my sales meetings and all that stuff. So I was doing the important stuff during the prime time of my momentum on a daily basis, right? Which makes it fine if you like feel like you have brain fog as you're driving into, like, that's okay. You don't need to be freaking sharp 24/7. And I'm not even like now. So I just wanted to, like, if you're listening to this and you're like, man, like, it sounds like every time you talk, you're fired up or you're excited. It's because I'm doing these things when I know I have it. Do you know what I mean? And that's when you should do the most important things too, right? Whether it's you're doing sales or whether it's team meetings or like, dude, if you suck in the morning, do not schedule your team meetings for the morning, because how you're going to show up is very, very important when it comes to how your team's perception of you, or how you're going to show up for your sales meeting is very, very important when it comes to if you're going to get that close or not, right? So think about it and know yourself enough to know when you're hot and like when you're just like, dude, because I can tell you this, at like 8 p.m., my brain is just, I mean, it's almost useless, right? So don't even message me, because I'm going to read it and be like, what? Gyms, you know? And so like you have to,
It's more like
you have to,
you're playing on the park with your kid and you're like texting back, like, leave me alone. Yeah.
yeah, man. And so like from a daily level, and I will say this, I try to never be completely out of momentum more than 1 or 2 days in a row. If that's the case, then I find that I'll lose too much production on that week, and no matter how I move things around, I won't be able to get everything done that week, right? And so I try to, let's say, you know, I use the reference like, hey, today I'm just gonna play with the kids, whatever it may be. I try to not do that more than one time, you know, per week, where I kind of push things off. And if I'm finding myself having a really hard time, like wanting to get up and do things more than 2 or 3 days a week, again, that's when you need to take a close look at what you're doing or your why, or something's off. You know what I mean? Because especially with a startup, which is, you know, what Fitbiz is, a startup, and you could arguably say like your gym is, because you're not. I mean, until you get to the point where efficiency is the number one, you know, problem you have, you're still in that startup phase. Like if you can't predictably acquire X amount of customers, you know what I mean? Like, and so I'd say like when you're in a startup, like that is a very, guys, it's such a tough job. We have such tough jobs, and there's so much mental wear and tear on the entrepreneur, because think about it, compared to other jobs out there, like you have to make way more decisions. You have to have way more difficult conversations. You play a higher stakes game every single day than a lot of the counterparts or your peers that you sit down at a wedding and you're like, hey, what are you doing? You're like, oh, I'm an accountant. Okay, it's a great job. But dude, they're not making the decisions you are. They're not having those uncomfortable like how many times as an owner have you fired somebody? It's never a comfortable conversation. You know, it always increases your anxiety, or it always does something neurologically that like puts more stressors on your body, your mind, whatever. And so when you do that for a prolonged amount of time, like there are things that it makes you different than other people. And so just knowing that about yourself as an entrepreneur, like it's okay to be in a funk a couple of days, but in my opinion, if it lasts more than that, then you need to take a close look, and something could be off. My opinion.
Yeah, I agree with that. And one thing is that I would add is 2 points, but I have a graph that I just keep on my whiteboard. Most people that are watching this call have probably seen it at one time or another. And that is like the average person that's an entrepreneur just has this wave cycle, right? Of like peaks and valleys, peaks and valleys, peaks and valleys. And hopefully, if you're good, you take that wave cycle and you tilt it upward a little bit. So you get better, right? You have a higher floor and a higher ceiling, right? But what we really try to do, especially in our program, is have a line that stays consistent, and that's your systems and team. And so when you think about just, yes, getting yourself back into momentum, improving that wave cycle, that's awesome. Improving that function is amazing. But the thing you can do for your business to make sure that your business doesn't have up and down cycles as much is to have the through line of team and systems. And that's just a really good way to think about how to improve that.
That's a great point.
What's that?
It's a great point.
Yeah, and the second thing I was going to say is I want the people that are watching this call to look back on the things that Joey and I have been talking about ourselves, and can you speak in that level of detail about your own motivation, your own cycles, your own predilections, your own passions? Have you taken the time, which is something that I have done a ton of, is thinking about why we do this. Why do you do this? What do you like to do? When do you get cranky if you don't have coffee in the morning? Like, do you know, like, how thoroughly can you describe yourself as a functional operator of a gym? And if you feel that you haven't spent time thinking about that, then that's something you should consider. It doesn't mean you're not a good gym owner. It doesn't mean that but maybe your efforts are going in the wrong direction and you don't even realize why. Like, Joey could write a book about Joey. I could write a book about Jason. And there's a reason, and it's because of the willingness to open that up honestly and look at what it is that motivates you, that doesn't motivate you, that you struggle with, that I find that if I eat Cheerios instead of Lucky Charms, I'm more productive that day, whatever it might be. But like, really honestly, this is the moment in the call where everybody that's watching this should look back on it and think, could I have been the third seat on this call and had things to offer about myself and how I might be different than Joey and Jason? And if you can't, that's totally fine. But like, step up. Like, now's the time. Like take the time to learn yourself. I told Donna maybe a year ago, I discovered that if I say something that I'm not sure is going to be funny or smart or whatever, my toes curl. They're doing it right now because I like feel a little exposed, like I'm a little insecure about it. But I discovered that after 38 years of living, where I've probably been doing that for 38 years and never noticed it. And to me, like, that's the sign of somebody who's like openly and honestly looking at their behavior and what motivates them and who they are, and then applying something to it. But if you never know, you never fucking know. Does that make sense?
Yeah, and you know, I couldn't get myself there, you know, organically. I've worked with a lot of mindset coaches. I just dropped a video in the other group, uh, because I was working out and I was like, you know what, this is kind of funny because people don't really know this about me, but I have a fitness and nutrition coach. I have a business coach. I have a high performance coach. I have a mind. These are all people I'm paying, right? And a lot of that gives me this introspection, because it's hard to identify from, you know, by yourself. And sometimes when you have somebody that's giving you a feedback loop, right? I'm the output, they're the input. They're like, hey, did you notice this? Or did you know that this, you were just speaking, right? And so for me, it takes somebody else to get that out of me. And I try to make myself the absolute best functioning machine in the business because I am, you know. And so we talk about teams, we talk about systems, we talk about all of this stuff, but what you do as the entrepreneur is massively more important. How you show up, how you think, how you act, the action you take, it's so massively more important than anything else. It would be such a shame to not invest in yourself to get to that level, right? And it starts off small. Like when you don't have a ton of cash, you can't make these big investments. Like some people I work with are high level because I have resources now. But before, like, dude, I would just fucking read as many books as I could or listen to as many podcasts as I could from people that I really looked up to and respected. And I'm like, hey, that's my business coach. Like I identified with them as my coach, whether they were meeting with me one-on-one or not. Because I wanted to have that routine of working with somebody. And I said, hey, that's my nutrition coach, right? When I was just following their program that I bought or something. But if you get yourself into the pattern of investing in yourself with the purpose of self-improvement in these different areas, I don't like to just have one coach that fixes it all. Like they're not subject matter experts in every fucking area of life. But if you get yourself in that pattern, when you do have resources, you can take it to a higher and higher level. And you realize when you start working with some of these high level people, you're like, wow, this person is going to significantly change the way I think or how quickly I can make decisions or my, you know, emotional intelligence and how I deal with people. And like, you can just tell, or like this person's really, their programming. I just started working with a new nutrition coach, right? Their programming in the nutrition immediately is, I can tell why I wasn't in the shape that I wanted to be in because I was not doing what they have me do. And I can tell right away. And so obviously you guys understand that to a degree because you've hired us, which we are coaches and mentors. Like we are where you would like to be in the business world. But when it comes to mindset and motivation, there's other resources out there that can leapfrog you and fast track you in ways that, and you should know this, guys, you coach other people too, right? I mean, they come to you and they hire you because you know something in a subject that they don't know, which happens to be fitness, nutrition, accountability. But if you're not doing that stuff, that's probably like the last thing I want to hit on is like, I rely heavily on self-investment because at the end of the day, like I just understand the value of guys that have been there and have walked that path. And and have dedicated their entire life on a certain subject, they're probably really freaking good at it.
Yeah, and just to kind of hit, I agree with all of that. I'm a member of Masterminds currently. I just told you before the call, one of my best friends is in this space as well. I had dinner with him last night. He lives here in Arizona, and like I felt like popcorn in a pan, man. I was like just popping all over the place, and just like, because it's not Joey. Me and Joey talk every day, and it's not, so that was helpful. But one thing I will say, and I take this very seriously, is you always hear you are a combination of the 5 people that you spend the most time with. And I did write something about it months ago, but I take that very seriously. I don't surround myself with losers. If I love you or if you're my family, we're going to hang out. But the people that I really engage with, I don't care if you're a high-end real estate broker or an investment banker or another entrepreneur, but you sell candy. I don't care what it is, but I get ideas all the time from people that are just, you know, trying to win whatever the game is that they're playing. They're out there making an honest effort. They're feeding their families. They're growing a business. They're a great doctor, or they're a great chiropractor, or whatever it might be. I don't care if you're a good car salesman. Like, I want to be around people that are playing life to win, whatever that means, whether it's having a good time or building a multi-million-dollar business. I coming out of school, I was fortunate enough to be hired at the biggest bank in the world as a banker, and they instilled in me, like, very early, networking. Like, every single week, it was expected that as a junior member of that bank, that you would basically ask out on a date for coffee some senior member of the bank. And if you didn't do it, you were basically going to be out of that company within a year. It was, so every single Thursday, you would see the Starbucks at the bottom of Chase Tower is just full of 20 somethings with 50 somethings, and they're just picking their brain. What do you do? What do you care about? What's important? Like, what do you wish you spent less time doing? All those things. And I kept that whenever I've been a member of Masterminds, and I've been in 3 or 4 different gym masterminds, sometimes simultaneously. I still, the moment somebody's name crosses my mind, Will Taylor, man, I'm sending Will Taylor a message right after this. I'll tell you that right now. Like, just somebody that you like, that you've had a, hey, what's going on in your world? I saw you had a kid, and I don't talk to those people every day. I don't work with those people. I don't even live in the same state as those people, but I try to surround myself by other people that just have a point of view and a work ethic and something that I admire. And so there's no one person. It's not Elon Musk. It's not, Joe Rogan or Steve Jobs or whatever. None of those people are my entire painting, but they're a color in the palette that I paint with, right? And so, like, I have this ability to draw on all these resources, and I don't reach out to people because I need something. I reach out to people because I want to engage with them. And then, by gosh, when something happens that I do need something, there's people there that are available to me. And all of those things I just talked about are free. Like, I have friends that have 9-figure businesses. I have friends who are starting up their own nutrition business, but they're my friends, and I just communicate with them. I met them at a thing, and now once in a while we hop on the phone, and every single time I take something away, and I'm assuming every single time they take something away. And so if you're hearing this call and you're like, Joey, I don't have the big Fitbiz money, I can't, go join a $30,000 a year additional, fine. Just make friends with people that are not losers and spend your time with them. Enjoy it. Take away something from them. Think differently than what you're stuck in this pigeonhole of fitness business offers front end this. Oh, do you know they do this in the chiropractic world, or they do this in the automotive world, or whatever it may be. But it makes it so much more like enriching to be surrounding myself with people that are also out there, totally separate from me, going in different directions, but also like critically thinking and trying to evolve and improve all the time. So for me, that's my takeaway is like, when somebody pops into you, if there's one tactical thing, when somebody pops into your head that you've met at something or that you admire or you think about, reach out to that person right fucking now. Nobody's going to be mad at you. They're going to be excited to hear from you. Ask them a question. My sister right now is getting ready to open her own yoga retreat, and she just reached out to another yoga retreat from a different state, and that person like invited her to fly out there. She's going to intern with her, and so before she ever opens that retreat, she's going to know, like, oh, you're going to think you want to do this, don't do that. That was free. I know people that have driven across the country to intern at the best gyms, the best CrossFit gyms in our space. That's something that people I know have done. And so that's what I would say is, like, every single time somebody pops into your head, just reach out to that person. Just continue to network and surround yourself with winners for sure.
100%. And guys, you are in a high level mastermind, whether you know it or not. Fitbiz is is full of great gym owners that are very motivational and entrepreneurial people. We don't sell a cheap program. You know what I mean? It's if you're looking for a 1997 course, like that's not us. So by default, the people that join our program are higher level entrepreneurs that understand the business and the ROI, right? Yeah. But even more so, like you can, we don't. It's not like Jason and I are working with everybody one on one, and you don't know each other, right? We're all in the group together. We're all in a Facebook thread together. You have everybody's contact information. If you want to be resourceful enough to find it, you can comment on their posts. You can go to their gyms. You don't need our permission to talk with them, right? When I was in gym launch, do you know how many people came to my gym? You know, that flew to my gym just to check it out and to talk with me. And I helped them a lot. You know what I mean? And they helped me too, right? And so we were helping each other, and it was really mutually beneficial. You guys can do that exact same thing, right? I know there's some high level gym owners in this group, just based on their body of work and what they've already done. You know, there's some gyms out there that are freaking $1 million gorgeous gyms, right? And you just might not know, right? But do some time. Like if somebody says something in the comment section that you're like, man, that was a really good, look them up. Send them a message. Be like, hey, man, I have the same thoughts that you had. Like, what do you think about this? And get to know them, right? Because it could be one of your 5 people that, you may not have anybody in your close proximity that is any of a higher level than you. So if you're the highest level out of everybody you're talking with, like that's generally not a catalyst for growth, right? But I bet you there's somebody within our group that's a higher level than you, and get to know that person, right? And have, I think you guys are getting what I'm saying at, right? But you can do this, and you're in this group already. You don't have to pay anything more. You don't have to join a ClickFunnels, or you know what I mean. You're already here.
Yeah, and just to build on that, like a couple of things. Number one, I don't know what you pay your nutrition coach, but I paid my nutrition coach like $350 a month when I had one. I don't currently, and it was like I remember thinking like if I want to get better results, I would just double results, just double what you pay us. Feel free, like you'll get better results. I don't know about you, Joey, but I have never not lost money on a program that I've done. I've never allowed it to happen. And so no matter what I've spent on a mastermind or a course or a book or whatever it is, I've always gotten more than what I put into it. And so if the thing you think about, again, we're not even talking about us. This isn't a fucking sales call. You guys are already in. But like when you think about investing in yourself, just know that the more you invest in it, the more important it is to you, the more likely you will take it seriously and take action. But that's all I have. I think, I'm on the calls, I'm talking to these guys. You guys are really good at, trying to stay in momentum and improve. And it feels like you guys are taking this stuff in. So you're already doing a good job, but hopefully there were some things today that we talked about that you can work into your repertoire and keep yourselves in momentum a little bit longer, keep yourself with a higher and higher floor for when you're not in momentum. And hopefully don't forget to keep that through line of building that team and those systems so that there is a consistency through the business where your business won't suffer just because you're taking a little bit of hiatus or break,
Yep. Yeah. I think we covered everything. I don't think we gotta pull it any longer, but, don't feel bad if you are not fired up 24/7. And when you are, dude, get shit done. No talk.
One last thing. One thing I will find is I like that the calls are going to happen no matter what. So if I'm out of momentum, I just put myself in the fight, and then 2 seconds in, I'm ready to go. And so sometimes you get into that lobster mode, like Sam would say, and you put yourself in a stressful position where you need to grow, and that will get you back into momentum as well. You just made me think of it. Sorry.
Probably do it.
All right.
All right, guys. Thank you for joining us on Thursday. We'll be back again next Thursday, and with some more coaching and some leadership for you guys. But if you're watching this and you are not in the Facebook thread that we just started, just comment below and we'll add you there. I think we got everybody, but comment below. We'll add you there because we're thinking about doing a couple other things that are more interactive, like getting you on Zooms with us and stuff. And that's probably where we're going to get the most feedback. So if you're interested in that, join that group. Otherwise, next week, right?
All right, guys. Have a good week.
Guys.